Before we go any further, just want to thank all the people over on Patreon, because without their help, none of this upgraded content that you'd be seeing would be possible. Over on the Patreon, you get exclusive sneak peeks at upcoming videos. You also get access to the Patreon only Discord server. Coming up soon, I'm going to be working on talking about other anime that I can't talk about here on YouTube, like say ReZero, Konosuba, and etc. I'm also going to start posting the scripts for video essays, and every 3 months we do an anime and manga haul. We also are going to open up the Patreon only Discord server to YouTube members at the $2 price tier, which also means that members will be seeing their name here alongside the patron. But with that being said, let's get back into today's video. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another review for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, episode 275. And this episode dropped a bombshell on us because we got confirmation of something that I told you guys last week when I said, like, hey, this arc right here, this is episode 1 of the prologue, and this might be serving as the transition into the code arc that we're getting in Q1 of 2023. Well, lo and behold, what we find out in this episode is that Sasuke has detached away from Boruto, and Sasuke is beginning his hunt for code. And this explains how Sasuke was able to so quickly start tracking down exactly where code is in the manga. So we're seeing some small nods there. The same thing when you see Boruto tell Sasuke, like, hey, I'm going to do everything I can to be a shinobi such as yourself. This episode dealt with self-imprisonment. If you're familiar with what goes on in the manga, there are some very clear nods to some stuff. So I like that we're seeing this right here. This is good. So now that we got my initial impressions out of the way, that's the huge thing that really sticks out. Let's back things up a little bit and let's get into the review itself. So the episode opens up with Boruto, and he sees Sasuke returning with that Senri Hawk, and we see Sasuke with that man that led him to it, and Boruto begins talking to Sasuke about what's going on with Tsuzura, who I'm never going to call Bob again because somebody showed me the correct pronunciation in the comment section. So Boruto's talking about Tsuzura, and he's telling Sasuke that he's watching Tsuzura and he sees exactly how Tsuzura feels like he's caged and like he has no more options. And Boruto talks about how he felt stifled being the son of Hokage for a while, and Sasuke takes this moment to not only tell Boruto, like, hey, we're gonna leave in the morning. There are just some things Tsuzura is gonna have to kind of learn for himself. We really shouldn't get involved. I'm not gonna push my own sense of justice in this situation. However, I can understand where Tsuzura is coming from, and longtime Naruto fans know exactly what it is that Sasuke is referring to. Even though it wasn't the exact same situation, there are some similarities in the sense of Sasuke felt like he had this pressure to live up to being Itachi's brother, but also to live up to being the son of Fugaku. And Sasuke worked hard in order to get the admiration of his father. And it's one of those things where both of those things, in wanting to impress a parent and also wanting to break out of the shadow of somebody and walk your own path, those are things that Sasuke can understand. Again, different circumstances, but there are some overlaps. And so Sasuke, you can tell this got his attention a little bit, but he makes the right decision at first to not get involved. However, what he doesn't realize is that, number one, Tsuzura is almost as pig-headed as Boruto in the sense of, once Tsuzura learns that that white hawk Yuki that he had been nursing back to health was going to be sold to an animal collector, and it was going to be stuffed and it was going to be put up on a living room mantle place, Tsuzura immediately gets super upset. He gets locked into his room. He reads the letter that Boruto left for him. Tsuzura gets his courage from that letter that Boruto left. He sneaks out of his room. He goes to rescue Yuki, and what you end up seeing is that on the other side of this area, we have a moment where Sasuke's telling Boruto, we don't need to get involved, we're gonna leave. And Boruto just keeps pressing the issue, and then once they find out that Yuki's gonna get sold because they run into somebody that is going to purchase Yuki, that's when Boruto takes off running towards that compound. Sasuke has no choice but to follow after Boruto, and we get this chase sequence where as Sasuke and Boruto are running towards that location, Yuki is being chased by that wolf that is owned by the man that works for Yuki's mother. And Yuki's mother shows some very cold-blooded tendencies where she's telling the man, like, hey, if you gotta break a few legs, like, just break one leg, don't break both of them, but break his leg, maybe break some other bones if you have to. He'll learn his lesson. And so that wolf starts chasing after Tsuzura, and just when it looks like he's gonna jump onto Tsuzura, that's when Boruto comes in with a mean right hook, sends that wolf flying. And then when the wolf starts circling back around, you have this moment where when it begins to lunge forward again. That's when Sasuke comes in and we see Boruto watching. We hear some of the scuffle off screen, and at first my knee-jerk reaction is like, dude, if they show Sasuke struggling with, you know how many comments I'm gonna read in the comment section, people saying, oh my god, Sasuke's now wolf level, he might be high wolf level now. Like, I was expecting to see something like that just based off of like, oh my god, they're going to absolutely rip this in the comment section. That wasn't what happened, thankfully. So Sasuke is showing major restraint. The wolf is eating away at Sasuke's sheath on his sword. Sasuke kicks the wolf away. When the wolf is like, okay, you want that smoke? Sasuke just looks at him, and then in that moment, two things happen. The wolf makes the face of a pup that's been scolded, and then the other thing that wolf realizes that he's not the apex predator. Instead, Sasuke's the apex predator. I thought it was cool just to see that moment right there. And so essentially, Sasuke and Boruto, they're standing there at Tsuzura, and when Tsuzura's mother's like, wait a second, if you come onto my property, you're gonna be in prison for life. Boruto's like, you want to test me? I'll do it right now. And Sasuke has to pull Boruto back in and tell Boruto, yo, you can't get locked up, fam. And in that moment, Sasuke's kind of thinking long term, because like if Boruto ends up going to jail, that's going to cause issues with Konoha. This was just supposed to be a simple mission to get a hawk. Things are really beginning to get out of hand, and that's when Sasuke says like, hey, you're looking for a Senri hawk, right? I'll go ahead and get it summoned. Just stand here. Sasuke summons his hawk and he apologizes, and at first you're thinking like, dude, is Sasuke really about to trade in his hawk? And I was like, man, this might lead to a really cool moment where Sasuke's telling Boruto like, hey, you know, sometimes you gotta sacrifice things that you love in order to protect those who you care about, and that's just one of those decisions you gotta make. I thought that they were going for that route. However, that's not what happens. So essentially what happens is as Boruto and Sasuke are walking away, because the deal that they made was essentially that in exchange for the Senri hawk, Tsuzura's mother would never harm Yuki and would never harm Tsuzura. Well, they're walking towards that train station. They're being escorted by that man that works with Tsuzura's mom, and what they don't know is that back at the compound, Sasuke's hawk was discovered seemingly dead. And when Tsuzura's mom's like, go ahead and just cut the stomach open, we'll find the nest, all of a sudden we get a flashback where Sasuke is shown from the hawk's perspective, and Sasuke actually placed the hawk under a genjutsu, which that's so cool to see Sasuke using genjutsu again. Again, we see it in the Sasuke Retsuden manga, which you should be keeping up with because I'm reviewing it on the channel. We see Sasuke using genjutsu like a pro there. We see Sasuke using genjutsu here, and essentially the hawk had a genjutsu order to just go through and raise hell. And so that hawk is going through and dodging attacks and is dodging the projectiles shot at it and maneuvering in a way to where the projectiles are hitting all the different cages, setting this whole zoo of animals free that were going to be sold off to different collectors. And you have this moment where you see Tsuzura's mother, and she's completely ragged because like the animals have attacked and all types of things, and she's raising hell trying to catch up. And when the hawk reaches Sasuke again, the guy that's escorting them, he's pissed off for a second, and when he hears Sasuke's name, all of a sudden the blood just runs cold in this man's body because it's like Sasuke. And I like that right there because it shows something that we've seen a bit, which is that when Sasuke travels, most people don't recognize him off of his features, but when they see his arm and they see the arm is missing, they realize, oh, this is Sasuke Uchiha. All of a sudden everything clicks. For the most part, Sasuke goes through somewhat undetected. The closer he is to a land of fire, the more problems he's gonna run into. But what I like right here is that we're seeing even this far out, the name Sasuke does ring some bells. It's just that people don't recognize him until they see a distinguishing feature, which that goes back to the fact that Sasuke's Rinnegan was always covered up. Sasuke does not cut on his Sharingan, and you can't really see that the guy has only got one arm because the way that the cloak is always over his arms. And the whole reason for that is, like I talked about in a few other videos talking about the light novels, there are a lot of people who are not happy with the fact that Sasuke, even after everything he did with the Kaguya stuff, Sasuke got off with only having probation. There's a reason why, if you go back to Naruto Shippuden's anime, you saw those people protesting once word got out that Sasuke was going to be given probation. The light novels make it clear there are still people that don't like that Sasuke got off like this, and we saw this in Boruto's manga briefly, where one of the Jonin from the older generation was not a fan of Sasuke. I thought that was nice right there, because it at least shows that this person might have some shinobi background, but also he knows enough about Sasuke where he's like, hey, we ain't touching this guy. That guy right there, that's Apex Predator. We ain't touching that. So even when Yuki's mom's like, go ahead and hunt this guy down, he's like, this dude's in a whole nother league of you. And so that's when we learn that Sasuke is actually going to be hunting down Code, because we have this moment where when Boruto and Sasuke are walking towards the train station after they get Yuki settled in with the guy that is protecting the Samurai Hawks, Sasuke tells Boruto, I'm not going to get on the train with you, because if I follow you back to Konoha, if I go back to Konoha with you, if that woman is tracking me, she's going to cause trouble for Konoha. I can't necessarily do something like this, because at the end of the day, Sasuke is the one that acted, not necessarily Boruto. So they have no reason to follow Boruto back to the village, because it looks like Boruto and Sasuke went their separate ways. What I like right here is that Tsuzura's mom, if she's following Sasuke, Sasuke's leading her away from the village. That's just Sasuke doing his due diligence. I thought it was nice to see that. However, when Sasuke says, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hunt down Code, I was going to have to leave the village anyway, I'm going to go hunt down Code, and he's the last surviving car enter. It needs to be done. And I like that, because it goes back to something that always bugged me about what the manga did, which is that the hunt that we had with Saiyan the Anbu hunting down Code, all that happened off screen, and we didn't get a confirmation that Sasuke had been outside the village looking for Code during that time. And at least right now we know that Sai and his group, they attempted to try and find Code, they couldn't find him. Now we got Sasuke doing his own thing off on the side, so it looks like now we're gonna have two separate hunts. So one hunt's concluded, now we're gonna get a separate hunt, and then we're going to get the third hunt that takes place in the Code arc. So I like this right here. We're at least seeing how Sasuke was able to eliminate some of the boxes, because more than likely the guy's gonna check some of those bases to see if maybe there was something left behind that wasn't necessarily picked up by Sai Zanbu, and then Sasuke's gonna begin doing his own process of elimination. The only downside is that it does look like this is going to be something done off screen, because Boruto has found himself essentially caught up in the Naruto universe's versions of the Hunger Games / Squid Games / Battle Royale, because when he gets on that train that he was supposed to be on with Sasuke, Boruto goes to sleep and wakes up in another section of the train with all these other people, including a few other shinobi, and Boruto meets some strange man that begins talking. We know based off of the spoilers, this is where different characters are going to begin dying in the next few episodes. So my episode question to you guys is, what do you want to see? Do you hope that we see some of Sasuke's travels, or do you think that they're just going to focus solely on Boruto's predicament? And then the second question I have for you guys is, how do you guys feel about the fact that we got to see Sasuke using genjutsu in an elaborate way in the anime? While you think that over, click here to watch my Spy Family video on Kryptonian Saiyan, or click here to watch this Naruto Explain video.